Well, even grandmas are divorcing their husbands, and they have a name for it. It's called retired husband syndrome. And this is exactly what it is right here. Thank you for this comment. Twice the husband, half the money. Like, this man who does nothing to make your life better, who just demands more and more labor of you with time. Me and my friends call it like old white man syndrome, but I know it's not just white men. But I will say that, you know, being from the South, that entitlement that comes with whiteness and that entitlement that comes with being a man, you combine those two and woo! But that's what it is. Okay, so this is actually really happening. Like they're worried about it. And I thought about this today because this came across my feed in Psychology Today. They just can't figure out why all these couples are divorcing. I'll tell you why. Women are sick of men. They're tired of their king babies, and even in old age, they're like, this sucks so bad. I'm done. I'm taking a cruise with my best friends. I don't want to wait till this dude is dead to live my life. And I told y'all before in that Harper's Bazaar article I wrote, this one right here, right? It's in the article, but there was interviews with several women who were like, yeah, my mom is just literally waiting for my dad to die. And I think a lot of women are like, I don't want to wait for this man to just die. I could just, I don't know, leave him. Now, I know that not every woman has that option, but seriously, can you afford not to? Because these men literally unalive you through exhaustion, your nervous system, and your immune system. Or just, you know, violence. I swear, y'all, they're so scared. Like, not only are they pushing marriage, they're like, you know, we've seen like the Washington Post editorial just did a whole thing being like, you better get married, you're gonna regret it. But we don't know why women don't want to marry conservatives who want to take away their rights to, I don't know, abortion and having money. I don't know. But they also seem so confused about this divorce skyrocketing. And my mutual hope peddler coined the great divorce is coming. It's not only coming, it's here. It's actually been here for a while. So they call it, in this article, they call it the gray divorce. The gray divorce revolution. And according to this study, it's been going on for a couple decades and it's just getting worse. That the divorce rate for the US population over 50 doubled in the last 2 decades. And more than doubled for people over 65. And I know that's so confusing to all these red pill guys who troll me on a daily basis and are being like, good luck, grandma, with your cats, right? They always assume because I hate the patriarchy that I must be alone and have cats. Nope, married with a dog, love my husband, love men who hate women. Okay? But they're just like, you're gonna die alone, No! Literally, we have statistics on our side. Not only are women statistically happier when they are single and not mothers, but even the statistics show that divorce is skyrocketing in later in life. Now, some of these are men who chase after another woman, create a whole new family that they won't take care of, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of these divorces are women who are like, fuck you, bro. So they're so worried. They're so worried, y'all. And that's why they're like, cat, grandma, die alone, blah, blah, blah. It's the same talking points. They're so unoriginal. It's like, at least make me laugh when you are misogynistic, right? But they can't even do that because men are not funny. Real humor is rooted in truth, and men are so delusional. They're so far off from the truth. Okay, so this isn't just in the US, okay? It's in the UK, Europe, Japan, Australia, India, Canada. They have other names for it, right? Like silver splitters, silver surfers. But I like Japan's name for it, retired husband syndrome, because that focuses on the real problem. Husbands that suck. Selfish, entitled king babies who aren't adding any value to these women's lives. And women are like, oh my God, I'm stuck with this man in the house. He never leaves and expects all this free labor, wants me to entertain him, and also is making way less money. And because we know that men spend way more money on themselves than they ever do on their families, they have half the money now, but still the mentality of, I want what I want, I'm gonna buy it now, whether it's a new set of golf clubs or a new car, or my wife may get like some yarn for her sewing hobby. Like, come on. Now, I love how this article, like, I swear to God, I wish that more women were writing these articles, or they were asking women instead of men, because they're like, why is this happening? Why? I mean, duh. But okay, they're like, well, I don't know, like, after the, in the 60s and 70s, personal happiness and self-fulfillment became what marriage is really about. Oh, you mean instead of women being held hostage? Because that's what all of our grandmas and great-grandmas and great-great-great-great-great-grandmas were. Hostages. Because if you can't have your own money and bank accounts and can't buy property and all this stuff, you can't have freedom. So you have to, marry a dude who hates you so that you can feed yourself. So it's like, well, maybe it's because, marriage, divorce is more socially acceptable. And, women join the workforce, which, by the way, I know this was written by a white person, because black women in the United States have always worked. And for a large part of the time without getting paid, right? So black women have always been allowed to work. But black, indigenous, and other women of color, they've always worked. So when they say stuff like that, they are talking about white women being able to work, okay? But even white women have been working. When they make statements like that, like my grandmas worked because they were poor. This idea that women just didn't get to work is ignorant, it's classist, it's racist, it's rooted in white supremacy culture and how our history and how we are taught history in schools, especially if the daughters of Confederacy are the ones writing those books like the ones I grew up with in the South. That is such an ignorant statement. In fact, in some parts of the country, black women, it was illegal for them to be stay-at-home moms. They had to take care of white people's kids. Anyway, that's another video. But this is about being able to have reproductive rights, about owning property, about having bank accounts, credit cards, and all that stuff. But it's not about women getting to work, because that statement also implies that unpaid labor isn't work. But of course, it's not considered work, because anything that women do in general isn't valued, even though you would pay when I was a babysitter, I made $25 an hour. And all I had to do was watch one kid, watch Shrek, and feed her. And, take her on walks. I didn't have to clean the house. I didn't have to organize, dad's calendar, his social life. I didn't have to fork dad. I didn't have to be his free therapist. I didn't have to create Christmas magic. I did nothing but watch this kid 8 hours a day. $200 a day I got paid just to have fun with one child. So even what work is so messed up. So this is why I hate seeing articles like this. But let's get back to why is this big divorce happening? Well, like I was talking about in that other video, empty nest syndrome, which I think should be called retired husband syndrome, get me out of this house because I'm dead inside because he's a parasite and stole my life from me syndrome. But it says, with the kids gone, some couples, they're talking about women, y'all. Some people start to wonder, what do I have in common with this person who seems to hate me, but uses all of my labor? Infidelity and addictions? Who do you think they're talking about? Spouses seek refuge from mental, emotional, and physical abuse? Who do you think is usually the victim of that? Not always, but usually. And this one, betrayal from financial improprieties propels spouses to seek relief. So I'm reading that as this man who destroyed her career by making her center him, making it so hard for her to be a mom that she probably had to quit her job and stay home with the kid. And once she left the workforce, it was impossible for her to go back into the workforce and make anywhere near the income she was making before. So she loses out on that trajectory while his is just soaring. And then in the meantime, he's spending all this money on himself, his hobbies, and all booze and whatever else. And then in addition to that, we know so many men hide their money. They have all these secret investments that women don't even find out about until they get divorced. And by then, they've already moved that money somewhere else. Or they've been spending that money on all their affairs. Look at this. Even with this study, 2 groups of men for more than 80 years they followed. Why would you follow just the men? Oh, right, because every study on this is so biased towards the male experience, the cishet male experience, especially the white male experience. Look at this. When the study began in 1938, nobody cared about empathy or attachment. Who's nobody, bro? We know who is notoriously bad at empathy. But they're like, but you know what? As it turns out, the key to healthy aging is relationships, relationships, relationships. And this is where I want more women to pay attention. Yeah, your body is important, but our relationships is an important part of self-care. Loneliness kills. I promise you, it's more lonely to be married to a man who doesn't see you than to be alone and have time for people who actually care about you. Marriage is not necessarily less lonely for women. Living in conflict is bad for our health. Women are leaving to protect their health.